Welcome to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brecheen.
Hi, everyone. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Brecheen. We're going to have some great topics today. We had a guest scheduled, but things happen, and we weren't able to get the guest last minute, so I'm going to do the show solo. Topics today are going to be great quarterbacks coming out of Louisiana for the next 2 seasons. I thought I would share my 2 cents of guys that I've seen play the last 3 years in the state of Louisiana, but the 222, 223 class of quarterbacks. We're going to talk about St. Thomas More High School and their team, Walker Howard and the St. Thomas More Cougars will be going for their 4th state title, their 3rd in a row. Incredible. Jim Hightower, the head coach there. So happy for him. Here's someone that if you didn't know him or you didn't know his background, being that he's from California, and he won a state title at Catholic Point Capee, but he waited 30-plus years at St. Thomas More to win a state title. Not many coaches that happens to them, and then I'm glad of all the success that he's had in the last 5-6 years for St. Thomas More Lafayette. Winning 3 state titles at St. Thomas More, but they all came after 30 years of being at the school. We're also going to talk about the Saints a little bit, give my 2 cents about their season coming up. We'll talk about Dare Rosenthal maybe a little bit, who may or may not be back for LSU as an offensive tackle from Faraday High School. It'll be his 5th year if he comes back. But let's go ahead and talk about our 3 sponsors. I want to thank our sponsors. Our first sponsor, John Harvey Toyota out of Bossier City in Shreveport, Louisiana. Looking for a used car. They have 3 dealerships, Harvey Autos, which means 3 times the used vehicles. They've got everything from fuel-efficient compacts to luxury models, even hybrids. Certified pre-owned with a warranty. Check out John Harvey Toyota. Harvey Subaru in Lexus of Shreveport and Bossier City. And also Madine's Collision Center in Baton Rouge. You've got to check them out if you need a paint job for your car or truck or body work on your vehicle. You might have got in a wreck. You want to bring it to Chris Medine, Dominica Medine. They're on Kincaid Avenue. They've been around since the 1960s. They're family owned. The number to call is 225-357-7983. There's a lot of body shops, but there's not many of them that are family owned since the 1960s. Great people. Be sure to call them at 357-7983, area code 225. And also, we have a great sponsor, our new sponsor, Treads and Care, which is open, a brand new store. Devin Holly, the owner, I've known for 25 years, corner of Hooper Road and Park Place Drive. The number to call is 331-8144, area code 225. Locally owned and operated since 1971. They handle tires, brakes, oil changes, alignments. They check your engine, tire light repairs, all major brands of tires, pickup and delivery. That's Treads and Care on Hooper Road and Park Place Drive. Beautiful store. You need to go by there. Great people. Chico Moore is one of the managers. If you know Chico, he's a legend around Baton Rouge as an LSU fan and just a sports fan in general. He's one of the managers there at Treads and Care for Devin Holly in Central. Let's go ahead and talk about the quarterbacks coming out of Louisiana the next 2 years. It's incredible the amount of talent coming out. I've been doing this for 32 years, being in the business and scouting. But when you look at the 222 class, we're going to talk about the 223 class of quarterbacks that is really more north-heavy. It's more south-heavy in Louisiana, the 222 class. You've got a guy named, obviously, Walker Howard that's going LSU. He's the big name. But you've got some other big-time 222 quarterbacks in Louisiana that I like a lot. Guys like Zion Chris from Madison Prep won a state title, their first ever in 2020. Great quarterback, great dual threat quarterback. I think a Power 5 quarterback. You got Landry Liddy that's going to Louisiana Tech from Calvary Baptist, threw for over 3,000 yards last year in his first year as a starter. He's 6 foot tall. Reminds me a lot of Tim Rattay, who played at Tech. You got Jeremiah Darty from Albany. That's right, Albany High School. The best quarterback I've seen play at that school in 32 years, and he is a gifted, big-time quarterback. 6'3", 220, 4'5", 40, cannon arm. He is a big-time quarterback. Who cares about the stars? When somebody offers them, they give them stars. That's what happens after. 222 quarterback from Jesuit High School, Jack Laraire from Jesuit. First year to start for a full season, 6'3", about 220, 215. Great arm, great ability to run. You got to be able to run and throw, and that's what all these guys have. Cole Poirier from Santa Maria High School, 6'3", legit, 195. Can run a 4.5 40, great baseball player, but he could become a phenomenal quarterback this year, 221. He's already a D1 guy, in my opinion. I know ULM of Monroe's looking at him. He went to their camp. Cole Poirier is a big-time quarterback. You got Britt Batterford from Neville High School. That's a great quarterback. He can run a 4.5 in the 40, 6'2", 185 pounds. You got Garrett Mamahat from Brother Martin, who's 6'2", been a 4-year starter coming up. He's won 90% of his games. Cole Milford from De La Salle High School in New Orleans, a great quarterback. Reminds me a lot of Chase Forcade that went to Nicholls State from Archbishop Rummel. Remember him, how good of a job he did? Cole Milford's a very similar quarterback. He runs a 4.5, great heady guy, doesn't make mistakes, competes. This is a great group, and there's some others. The 223 class, and obviously we talked about Walker Howard in the 222 to start out, but the 223 class, we all talk about Eli Holstein, which I saw Eli play last year, first game of the year against St. Aug. I think Eli Holstein's as good as Arch Manning. And Arch Manning's going to be super. He's going to be phenomenal. So is Eli Holstein, who's committed to Texas A&M. Either way, I've got an interview with Eli Holstein for Friday. I went to Zachary High School and interviewed Eli. What a great young man. His older brother, Caleb Holstein, is competing for the starting job at Louisiana Tech. He also played at St. Thomas More High School. But everybody talks about Eli Holstein, who's phenomenal. I think he's up there with Arch Manning. They're both 223 quarterbacks. Can you believe that? But there's more. There's Ricky Collins at Woodlawn, 6'3", 6'4", great athlete, becoming a great quarterback. There's Lark Lambert at Byrd High School, who's going to be a great quarterback. He's already played a state title game as a sophomore. There's Ashton Martin from Captain Shreve, who's a 223 big-time quarterback. There's Cameron Evans from Huntington in Shreveport, who's phenomenal. Mason Welch from Northwood in Shreveport. All these guys are 6'2", 6'3". You got Josh Booty's son, Peyton Fulgham, at Evangel Christian. He's a 224 guy. He's already 6'2", 6'3". I've never seen Louisiana produce this much talent at quarterback back-to-back years. I've seen some good seasons. Obviously, Josh Booty came out the same year as Peyton Manning. That was pretty good, and there were some others. You know, in the past, you had Steve Ensminger and David Woodley and Bob Lane and Robbie Mahfouz all came out about the same time back in the 70s. Bob Lane was at Neville, Mahfouz at Lafayette High. Woodley was at Byrd, Ensminger was at Central High School. You've had a Tommy Hodson come out of Central Lafourche. You've had the Mike Hillmans at Central Lafourche. You've had a lot of great quarterbacks come out of Louisiana. Terrence Jones, Lutcher, Patrick Ramsey, Rustin, went to Tulane. We can go on and on and on, all the great quarterbacks. You know, Terry Bradshaw, Joe Ferguson came out back-to-back out of Woodlawn and Shreveport. But this is the best I've seen ever deep-wise. I mean, 8 or 9 D1s in a class. Are you kidding me? Quarterbacks, D1 in Louisiana? We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about St. Thomas More High School. Speaking of quarterbacks, Walker Howard. We're going to talk about the whole STM team coming back, the Cougars. We'll be right back.
Listen, whatever you're driving right now, Tommy Harvey wants it. Bring it in to Harvey Subaru, Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City, or John Harvey Toyota. They're paying big bucks for all trades right now. They'll cut you a check right there. Tell them Lee sent you.
Welcome back. I hope you're enjoying the show. First segment was about the quarterbacks coming up in Louisiana the next 2 years. This is about St. Thomas More High School in this segment in Lafayette. They're going for their 4th state title, their 3rd in a row. Walker Howard's going to have a whole new wide receiving core. He loses Carter Arsenault, Carter Domain, and Jack Besh, 3 receivers that combined for over 300 catches. All 3 kids combined for over 300 catches over the last 3 years, and probably at least 5,000 to 6,000 yards and over 100 touchdowns between the 3 of these guys over their last 3 years, and probably close to 150 touchdowns if you combine all 3 kids. But St. Thomas More is well-oiled, and Coach Jim Hightower has a great staff. Shane Savoy and all the great guys on their staff do a great job developing players and playing a lot of kids every game. They're used to losing 30 players every year to graduation. And they're used to returning 30 players every year per class. This is a team that's going to be a lot of seniors again and juniors. They're young at receiver, but they've got a big group of receivers coming up, actually. They got Jackson Guran, who's a senior, is going to get a chance to play a lot now. Jack Hines has got a lot of ability, a senior. Andrew Morse, a senior. Connor Stelly and Hayes Monclaw, who's, by the way, Hayes' dad, Buck Monclaw, played with Jamie Howard, Walker Howard's dad. They were teammates at St. Thomas More back in the day. And you also got Anthony Quibido, a receiver, who's finally going to get a chance to shine as a senior this year. The O-line's going to be the best maybe in the history of the school, which is bad news for the rest of the state in Class 4A. Let's talk about these O-linemen. It's a bigger O-line than the last 3 years. You've got Owen Britton, Eddie Martina at center, Colin Stevenson, Luke Lemary, Cole Brown, Holden Matthews, and you got a couple of young guys that are going to be special. Ashton Hellier, Jackson Dickerson. These are guys to keep an eye on in the future. And look, the run game's going to be really good too. They lost a lot of experience, but they return a couple of guys that are older that paid their dues. One sat out last year, Jack Stefanski. He's a senior. Charlie Payton is another running back that's going to get some playing time. These two are going to be the guys. There'll be some others coming up. They got a great tight end in Barron Sawyer, who's 6'6", and they got another good tight end in Barrett David. So the offense is going to be great. Walker Howard, if I'm a young receiver, man, you're very lucky to have a quarterback like that if you're a new receiver in this offense. But it's going to show you how good Walker Howard is. He's going to have a whole new receiving core and not miss a beat. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the St. Thomas More defense and some of their top players coming back for next year. We'll be right back.
Looking for a used car? Harvey Autos has 3 dealerships, which means 3 times the used vehicles. They've got everything from fuel-efficient compacts to luxury models, even hybrids, and certified pre-owned with a warranty. Check out John Harvey Toyota, Harvey Subaru, or Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. This segment, we're talking about St. Thomas More High School, going real in-depth with their team. Offense was the last segment. This segment's the defense. I think the defense at St. Thomas More will be very similar to the last 3 years. They'll be strong where they need to be at D-line. They'll have some good linebackers again. A little young at linebacker, but they'll have a lot of DBs. And they'll have a good special teams, which is trouble for the rest of the state. D-line, Jacob Stokes comes back. He's a senior. All these guys are seniors, I'm going to mention. Mason Robin, Channing Patton, Alex Berries, the defensive end. Linebackers, Richard Seymour and Luke Soye, both small guys, but they're athletic. And they're very deep at corner and safety. Nicholas Beck was going to be special safety. John Wagaspack, Jack Hebert, and Hampton Lemoyne, all three corners that are seniors. And they've got some guys at outside linebacker, Jude Lasea, who had a great state championship game in 220. Alex Fink, linebacker, Peyton David, a linebacker safety. And their kicker, special teams, Cameron Domaine's going to be really good, a senior for St. Thomas More. I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to win it again. I think they're going to win their fourth state title. Now, look, it's not going to be given to them. De La Salle is actually talented again. They lost their coach, Ryan Manali, to Jesuit, but I still think De La Salle is going to be the most talented team that they'll probably play. These two could hook up again for a third time, which is crazy. It could happen. But I think that right now I give them the edge. But there's going to be a lot of good teams in 4A this year on the private side. There's going to be, it's the same 3 or 4, but it's not going to be a gimme. But, again, I think they'll have a chance. Walker Howard's going to have a better year. Think of this. His first year as a starter, threw for 3,400 yards and 42 touchdowns. His first year as a starter. We're going to take a break. We're going to be right back with more of the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Brecheen. We'll be right back.
So, hey, guys, just wanted to take a minute to tell you about Harvey Autos. If you need a new or used car, there's 3 great dealerships right here worth checking out. John Harvey Toyota, Harvey Subaru, and Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City. Low prices, honest people. Tell them Lee sent you.
Welcome back. You listen to the Sports Scouting Report. I hope you're enjoying the show. We talked a little St. Thomas More. We talked about top quarterbacks in the state. This segment, let's talk about the Saints. And I just want to talk about quarterback. I mean, am I the only person that's going to feel a little strange about watching the Saints and there's no Drew Brees? Reality's setting in. I think we all said, he retired, and, it was, and a lot of guys were like, well, he, needed to retire. Some are like, no, I hope he plays another year. It's going to be really weird turning on the TV and there's no Drew Brees. And it's going to be that thought that I think a lot of fans have deep in their heart that can this team win without him? Can Jameis Winston be the guy? Can Taysom Hill be the guy? Can Trevor Siemian be a sleeper free agent pickup from Northwestern? I mean, will that happen? Will Ian Book be a great quarterback one day, drafted out of Notre Dame? I like him a lot, actually. He reminds me a lot of Drew Brees. I mean, the Saints go get another quarterback if Jameis Winston doesn't handle the first 5-6 games well. It could happen. Taysom Hill was good when him and Jameis together were working when Brees was hurt. It looked like the Saints were going to win a Super Bowl last year. They were dominating everybody. They actually beat Tampa Bay really bad the first time. Second time, it wasn't so nice in the Superdome. Tampa Bay got better. The Saints regressed. Tampa Bay progressed. It's going to be interesting. The problem is Tampa Bay's in the conference. They got Leonard Fournette, who's still got some time on those treads on his legs. He's still a young guy. Brady looks like he's 25 still. Gronk is coming back. They've got some great young receivers. Tampa Bay's got Devin White on defense and David. I mean, they got a great defense. Atlanta could shock everybody. They've got great teams. Carolina is going to be improved. It's going to be tough to win games in that conference where the Saints are in. They're in a tough conference. But I think I'm like a lot of fans. It's just going to be reality is setting in that Drew's not going to be there. My prediction is the Saints could go 10-6 or 9-7, or they could go as worse as 8-8. I think it's between the 8-8, 9-7, 10-6. I'm more leaning to 8-8, 9-7. That means no playoffs. If they get 10-6, they can get a wild card. And I'm hoping they do, but I just don't have a feel that they're going to be good enough. And, you know, Quan Alexander got hurt last year. He's not back. They're not deep at linebacker. And we'll talk about the Saints a little more in the future, but it's going to be tough, I think. It's going to be really tough for them to stay. I mean, the Saints have had phenomenal seasons after. You know, I grew up like a lot of people in the 70s. When I remember the Saints when they would go 1-15 every year, or 0-16, or like 2-14. I remember me and my dad sitting down and watching the Saints in the 80s and the 70s and just praying the Saints could just get a field goal. By Tony Frisch, remember him? He came from the Oilers with Bum Phillips. You know, Kenny Stabler was finishing with the Saints. You know, Archie took a beating when he was a quarterback. They had no protection. Even though Conrad Dobler was there just a little bit late in his career. They traded every good player they had. Chuck Muncie, Wes Chandler, all the good players were always traded by Meacham back in the day. But Brees was the best thing that ever happened to the city of New Orleans, I think, for the Saints to go that long in that many playoff years, to get 16, 17 years of phenomenal seasons. That's going to be spoiledness that I think we're going to find out really fast that might be a little rebuild happening. And then maybe not. Maybe Peyton can be the genius like Belichick. Maybe he can find a way to keep it going. Even though they don't have that quarterback that's a Super Bowl quarterback. But they need to figure that out this year, and I'm sure they will. Peyton's a genius. Belichick had his worst year in like 20 years without Brady. And Cam Newton was not very good in New England. I don't know how that's going to work out this year. They drafted the quarterback from Alabama, but I don't think he's going to be. I just don't think that kid's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback, but you never know. We'll see what happens. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. If you're looking for the preview magazine, it'll be out in August. You can go to our website, lafootballmagazine.com. Pre-order a North copy, a South copy, or a digital copy for either one. All the St. Thomas More kids we mentioned and all the high schools in the state that have football, especially the LHSA and the MAIS, will promote all those teams. And most of the starters will be mentioned in the preview magazine. It's our 25th year, anniversary year, 25 years. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Again, on Friday, we'll have Eli Holstein, quarterback from Zachary High School, an interview we did. He's committed to Texas A&M, a great young man. We'll see you Friday.
Thanks for listening to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brecheen.